Hi, this is Christine. It is January 18, 2015. It's in the early morning. I just got up. I had a dream last night. I'm not sure what it means. I don't even know if I should share it. I haven't been sharing dreams lately, but then the dreams that I've had are kind of strange and odd anyways. In this dream from last night, I was in a land. There were other people there. It was just like on the earth. It was just life like normal. It looked more like the Midwest though, like open land, open country, but there were people there, and just looked like a regular place. The thing that made it different is that we were going through whirlwinds, and it was air, it was wind. So when you were walking, you could still walk, but it was kind of like walking through a windstorm. Like you would have to push yourself into the wind, and you could still walk, but the wind was kind of trying to push you back. And then it would also flip you upside down, turn you sideways. It would do different things. So people were living in this state, not realizing that there was something wrong with it, that it was too windy, and because this was the norm for them, being pushed around by the wind, having obstacles, having things try to push you back, having things flip you upside down. It was kind of like a windstorm or like a tornado. I mean, you couldn't see a physical tornado, but you could feel that there were wind forces that were fighting against you, and nobody thought it was any different or anything strange, because this was, like I said, the norm for them. Well, for some reason I started floating up, and then it felt like this level, like this ground level where I and all the other people were standing and walking and living our lives, and life just went on like normal for them. I started floating up, but now instead of it being oxygen, we were like underwater. So it was clear water, but it was dark, and it almost felt like if you were underwater under a sheet of ice, like when a lake freezes over. That's almost what it felt like. It wasn't cold or anything, but you could see that there was water. It wasn't oxygen. So apparently everybody living down there, we were able to live in the water, and not drowned and not think anything of it. But it wasn't oxygen now, it was water. And that's why I was able to start floating up. So to the left and the right and the back and the front of me, up top, was like a solid wood floor, and that would be the equivalent of frozen ice, from the lake, the frozen lake ice. But it was a wood floor, and there was a hole in it, and you could see the light through the hole. The hole was big enough to fit a person through it, but you could see the light, as in you're coming up from the basement, and then you would step up on the floor upstairs, so you would no longer be in the dark basement, but you would be on the floor upstairs, and then there were windows and there was sunshine and a door, and you could actually go outside and walk on the real earth. You wouldn't be underwater or in the basement fighting against the water or the wind, down below where everybody was living, thinking that this was normal to have these oppositions against you. So I started floating up, and as I was floating up, I could see the water, like it was rippling, and it was white and black up top. So there was some kind of a form or shape up top, and it was like black and white, but it was blurry because I was underwater, and I didn't have goggles on to see clear, so it was kind of fuzzy or blurry to look at. And then as I got closer and closer to the top, the water parted. My hand reached out of the water, and on the right hand side, by the like laying on the floor, was my dad, my physical dad, and his hand reached out into the hole, into the water, and I was stretching my hand up, trying to reach his hand, and he was stretching his hand down, but eventually we did manage to grasp each other's hands. And then he tried pulling me up, but obviously for one arm to pull a whole body up, it was kind of hard because I was kind of heavy. So he continued to do that, to try to pull me up through the hole out of the water, and to like bring me up onto the wood floorboards. And then all of a sudden we decided that instead of the hole being like this, where my dad is here and he's reaching into the water, and then I'm down here, and then all the rest down here is people, and the earth is down here. So I started floating up, and then here's the hole, I guess, and then this was all wood floorboard, and here were windows, and you could see sunlight coming in. But my dad, he started reaching down for me, and then my hand came up and reached his hand. So instead of this hole, I'm going to move over here, instead of this hole being like this, we decided to change it. And we made this hole in the floorboard, we just flipped it up. I don't know how we did this, because this isn't really possible, but we did this, and then he just pulled me through. He was here, the water was still here, and he just pulled me through the hole. And then eventually the hole could go back down, and then you had the water people and world down here that was still going on like normal, and then I was up here in oxygen, not in water anymore, and I was above the floorboards, and all the water was below the floorboards. So it was, like I said, a frozen lake, so I'd be on top of the ice now instead of underneath it. But yeah, he pulled me. We decided to change the hole from this way to this way, and then it was really easy to pull me through then, because I pretty much just had to crawl through. He didn't have to fight against gravity and pull me up. So once I got up to the top part, then my dream changed, and I had a part-time job working from home, and I went to this news place. It was a company, and they were hiring several different people, actually, and I had to fill out some forms or paperwork. You didn't need a regular resume. It was just forms that they had made that you had to fill out, and I filled it out, and I didn't know who all they were going to hire. There were like 3 or 4 other people. I didn't know who all they were going to hire. But when I filled out the paperwork, they told me that the wage is like $9 to $12 an hour. And I said, oh, well, I don't know if I really want to start at $9 an hour, because it's going to be kind of hard to live on, especially if you have to pay your taxes out of that. And they said, well, everyone has to start at the bottom level, and then work their way up. That's what we did, and they were people obviously in higher positions. They were like human resources and stuff, and they said that's what we did. We had to start at the bottom at at $9 an hour, and then just work our way up. And now we make a good wage. So so I was like, okay, everybody starts at the bottom, $9, so I'll just do that too. And then I went back home to my part-time job at home, which was enough to make a living, but it wasn't really wasn't going to make me rich, my part-time job at home. And then for some reason I came back like 2-3 times each time, or like I came back about 2-3 times after that, and not to check up or anything, but the people were there, like behind the desk, the human resources people, so to speak. And I would walk into this big auditorium, and I'd sit like about 3/4 up, and it was like an auditorium at a university, with those lecture rooms, and they have the seats that go up. And it was not full. The room was not full. We were only like about two rows of people, and the rest of the room was empty. And there was a lecturer down front, and he was talking, and I would go out, and the human resources people would see me, and then eventually I'd come back in, and I didn't want to pester them to find out if I had the job or if they had made a decision on who they wanted, and they didn't say anything to me, so I just let it go and just did my thing, which was having to show up at this lecture room. So after about the second or third time that I went to the lecture room, I guess this is over the course of days, because you go to the lecture room one day, and then you learn, and then you go home and you come back. So it's just like regular school. So that's what I was doing. And after about the third day, I came back out again, and the ladies, they asked me. The ladies behind the counter, behind the human resources counter, they asked me, I don't want to say why I was there or anything, because that's not what they asked me. But for some reason, I needed to use their desk, their office desk, and they had like 4 desks. It was, like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then here was the table, and the ladies were sitting behind the table. And then this is the hallway, and then the lecture room was this way. So you walk this way. So I ended up coming out this way, and I sat at this desk, and they were I guess they were trying to make conversation with me, but I sort of needed a desk, either not to do homework, because I wasn't planning on staying there for a long period of time, but I needed the desk to sit down and fill out some paperwork. And again, for some reason, I found myself filling out paperwork for that job again, I think. I don't know. It's just really strange dream. And then one of the ladies came up to me. I think it was this middle lady. She came up to me at the desk, and she was the one talking to me. She was very nice. She was the one who also told me about the $9 at the very beginning. $9 an hour that everybody starts at. And interesting, because 9 is the 9 of judgment. Everyone starts in judgment, and then you get out. And then, oh, that's funny, that the top wage was 12, because it's perfection. I just now realized that. So anyway, she came up to me, and they did ask me why I was there, because they would see me there like every day in the lecture room. I would come, and I'd have to walk past them, so they would see me, even though we weren't talking. They didn't say anything about the job, and I didn't ask about it again. But they asked me, and I told them that I was here for the news, that I had gotten the part-time job that I had was for the news, and that there were several of us in there. It wasn't a whole room, but there were several of us inside the lecture room, and we were reporting the news out to people. And when they heard that, all of a sudden I got a lot of respect from them, and they were like, "Oh my goodness, she's working for the news?" And their whole disposition and image of me got respectful, and they started looking at me, like putting me on a pedestal, and looking at me like I was something special. And I didn't take it to heart because this was just the job that I was doing. I was working with the news company. It wasn't just me. It was like a group of us doing this job. And it wasn't just me. And the fact that they didn't really care about me when I was a nothing and a nobody, and now all of a sudden, because I'm working for the news, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, she's somebody, so we have to treat her really special. And I did not take it to heart because I didn't feel like that they truly loved me. It was just outside flattery. So I did not take it to heart. And I left my desk and I went back into the lecture room because the lecture was going to start, and I was there to study and to learn and to do my job for the news. And then when I came back out, they offered me the job. So I don't know who these people are or why they offered me the part-time job. So apparently the news job was my first part-time job, which I did not realize, but I guess that's what it was. And then they offered me my second part-time job. So now I have, according to my dream, now I've got 2 jobs. And I still don't know what this job is, but I kind of feel like these guys were angels or something, like human resource. I don't know who they were. But yeah, afterwards I got, I now have my 2 part-time jobs. The one working for the news, and then one working for these guys. So because I think there were 3 or 4 of us who applied for the job with these guys. So apparently they made their decision and they gave me the job. But that's not to say that they didn't give the other people a job too. They might have hired all of us and given the other 3 or 4 people who also applied, given them a job, but maybe a job in a different area. I don't know, because I wasn't those people, and I wasn't there when they were filling out paperwork. I just felt it was like a knowing that there were other people who had applied for this job, like 3 or 4 other people. And then I woke up. So yeah, apparently I started out down here on Earth with these people, and it was in a windstorm. And I floated up. It became water. This is all water now. I came through the hole because my dad pulled me. He pulled me up, but then eventually pulled me through. Not up, through. And I want to say that it looked like my physical dad, but I want to say that this was actually God, my Father, who pulled me up. Or Jesus, because the 2 of them are one. At the window. So I came up through the floorboards, and then I got a news job in the lecture, and I got a job by these 3 guys. So I have 2 part-time jobs now. The news obviously is just spreading the word, but I don't know what this job is yet. Maybe the Lord will reveal. But yeah, it was kind of a weird dream, so I wasn't even sure if I should share it because I didn't even know what it meant. But I figured I would. So, hope everyone's having a great day, and if anyone's even watching this anymore. And talk to you soon. Take care, and God bless. Bye-bye.